This is 70 Cutlass. We built this whole car. It's pretty much a coach-built car. It's about we're somewhere around 2,000 hours in it right now. Bumpers, you know, they used to stick out an inch here, so Jeff tucked all that in, picture framed all the gaps. There's probably 150 hours per bumper easily. It's got crazy 540 inch big block olds. Everybody else would have put an LS in it, but we wanted to keep it true to the olds. It's actually a W30 442 car, so we just completely cut it up and started over. A lot of the Oldsmobile purists probably hate it, but we don't really care. It's what the customer wanted, and that's what we built. So, but yeah, the engine was built by Kevin Self up in Oklahoma. So he did the intake and then ended up building the whole engine, dyno it, and everything. So we typically build here, but since he already had the parts, we just went ahead and had him build it that way. In his hands. He built a really good engine anyway.
Alright.
So this one, tell me when you're ready. So this is the engine that we were talking about earlier out there with the CSX Cobra. Came to us with the Hurt lifter, gobbled up the cam and the lifter, so the whole thing had to come out. It had a terrible tune-up in it, so the whole engine was coated with just black sludge on the inside, so we had to start over. That's what Jeff was doing right now, is cleaning the oil tank. This is what's different about this engine than what you'll see on almost any car on the street. Is this is the dry sump pump. So basically, your oil is sucked out of 3 places in the pan. There is no oil storage in the pan. It pulls it out, it sends it back to the tank, and then from the tank it sucks it in here and sends pressure out over here to the oil filter. This will change a little once it's in the car because we have to plumb in the oil cooler. So this is just for the dyno. We hooked up these hoses, but that's how it works. Pressure out, pressure in, goes in the engine here, it feeds the whole engine, feeds the mains first, and then up through the top. So typically, you know, your oil pump would be right under here in the pan, and you'd have a shaft running off the distributor that turned it. So you get rid of all of that, you know, loss of horsepower, the chance of breaking that little 1/4 inch hex piece that runs the oil pump. And these pumps, believe it or not, actually take a whole lot less horsepower to turn. So dry sump's a pretty cool deal. It actually pulls a suction on the bottom of the motor like a vacuum pump. So there's about 10 extra horsepower there that you gain on top of the loss of windage being a dry sump. We dynoed this one last week. It made right under 600 horsepower. It's got stack injection. We've got to fine tune it. We didn't spend a lot of time on the dyno tuning it, but it's going to go to a chassis dyno after this, so we didn't want to just kill it. Basically just break it in, make sure there's no leaks, make sure everything's working right, good oil pressure, and everything went perfect, not a drop. Everything's good. I put this one together myself. New pistons from JE. The other pistons had a little bit too much piston clearance, so tightened everything up there with deck to surface. It's got Cometic head gaskets. It's got Johnson hydraulic roller lifters. Just a good piece, smooth, lots of power, made 580 pounds of torque. So
what stall do y'all put in? Oh, D stalls. You know, it's D's nuts. Yeah.
Jeff's the reason Discovery Channel's not here right now. I'm just gonna tell you. So one thing about this car that you're not gonna see in almost any Cobra, or really street car for that matter, is back here lives the dry sump tank. So that's kind of race car only, road race, really high end stuff. So basically all the oil is kept in the trunk in a tank, and the pump that's external hangs off the side of the engine and pumps the oil. So it's great for road racing or high endurance, high RPM stuff, because you don't have really any oil in the pan. It sucks it out as soon as it gets in there, stores it in the tank. So way more efficient. It's just a whole lot of work. It's probably a $15,000 upgrade on this car when it was built. The aluminum heads. It had the solid roller cam. We switched him over to a hydraulic roller. That way it's more street friendly. There's no valve adjustment. A lot more user friendly for, you know, daily driver stuff or even weekend cruising.